It is lecture number 33, and title is already given here. Several times you have already seen that parameter of a specific random variable, that for discrete random variable, and also we had discussed for continuous random variable. Now here I will talk about the parameters for random vector. So this here random vector, it can be discrete kind of random vector, it can be continuous kind of random vector, or it may be mixed kind of random vector. And further, once we are having idea of parameter, then I will talk about estimation. And before going to estimate that, we need to understand law of large numbers. So especially today's title should be parameter of random variable and law of large number. I would like to say that, and law of large number. And in next class I will talk about estimation process. So estimation process is one kind of criterion function you need to introduce, and based on that you try to optimize your parameter. So optimize parameter. In process of optimizing, you are getting a estimate of that parameter that happens to be an optimal estimate of the given parameter. You don't have information about that parameter directly. What you do, you apply some kind of criterion function or some kind of modular structure. Based on that, you try to estimate a specific value of parameter. Among the specific value of parameter, which would be better, optimal would be better. So that we will try to find that optimizer. So estimation is one kind of optimization problem, you can say that. Law of large number. So today talk parameter of a random variable and law of large number. Okay. So law of large number is very important from inference purpose. And this one is a very classical theory. Now this day people are finding a little bit difficulty, but when you will study high dimensional data, then you have to be very good in this. So if you understand high dimensional data, and now this day everything is mostly whatever, if you try to capture a lot of videos and images, and images happens to be always high dimensional data, and from that images what just you try to extract few things, not everything. So in order to get information about those few things, you have to be very good in log number and those things. So coming to discuss about parameter of a random vector. The random vector, I have already told that it is a vector with n component, where each component happens to be a random variable. Okay, and we denote it by bold letter, capital bold letter. So first I will talk about the mean and variance. So here mean and variance, simply we are talking about random vector. So and distribution of random vector. So mean would be not just a scalar number, it would be a vector. So I will introduce the term mean vector. Parameter of random vector, first parameter would be mean vector, and second parameter would be matrix, variance matrix concept will come. So consider we are having a random vector, this bold x, having n component x1, x2, x3. Each component happens to be a random variable. I don't know right now whether x1 all xi happens to be discrete or continuous. It may be mixed. I don't know. Just I know that x is a random vector with the dimension n. And now we will find two term here. Two term happens to be parameter. That will represent the complete distribution of random vector. Those things happen to be, first one is mean vector, that we denote it by capital mu, and again it happens to be a n-dimensional vector, and each component would be expectation of the corresponding component. So each component of mean vector, so it can be defined like this way. So mean vector is actually expectation of random vector x, and where further if you try to zoom it out, it happens to be expectation of this random vector with n component. And here you can see that there is a interchange. There is a interchanging between bracket and this expectation operation. So you can say that expectation of random vector or mean of random vector you can define like this column vector, and where each component happens to be expectation of individual components. So this is the definition what I told that. So we don't have to look much into definition. We will try to calculate things. Another concept, that one is coming here. There are actually not a single variance term will come. Variance, if you are having a single random variable, then we will talk about variability, because we don't need to compare with others. But when we are having more than one random variable, then we will talk about also comparison kind of things. So comparison, how we study, we study it through two parameter. One that we are calling it covariance, another one is we are calling it correlation. So these two are very interesting thing. But here we are talking about random vector. So that's why in place of just calculating covariance between only two vector, it is not limited to only two vector. It is limited to n component of a random vector. So that's where matrix term will come here: correlation matrix and covariance matrix. And so also we can say that these are actually second moment. Uh, Moment concept also I had already discussed. So how we define the correlation matrix? So correlation matrix actually it is a matrix whose each component defined like this way, each entry is defined like this way. It is talking about what variance of variance, or simply variance means what it is talking about covariance of random variable with itself. So variance with zero mean. So correlation, this matrix we are calling it correlation matrix. And if you further try to give a compact representation of correlation matrix, then you can call it like this way: expectation of outer product of random vector. So outer product of random vector, I had already mentioned that if you are taking two vectors, so here x is a random vector and you do outer product, not inner product. It is outer product is what? It always give a matrix. And what is the rank of outer product of a matrix? Anyone would like to answer? What is the rank of this outer product of matrix? X is a vector, column vector, and X transpose again it would be a row vector. If you multiply column vector with row vector, so what is the size of this random vector? It is n by 1. And if you do transpose, then size of X transpose, what does it become? It becomes 1 by n. Okay. So in total you will observe that X into X transpose happens to be a n by n matrix. But what is the rank of this uh, X into X transpose? Because it is a matrix, you need to know rank, and it is generated by a single vector. So anyone would like to answer that? In last semester I had taken course on linear algebra. So what would be rank of X into X transpose? Sagar, would you like to comment over it? What is the rank of X into X transpose? Any idea? Okay, Prashant, do you know what is the rank of outer product of a vector X into X transpose? Prashant Sharma, are you listening me or not? Then just try to answer it. What is the rank of outer product of a vector? Are you able to understand my question or not? But it is very simple. In last course, I discussed a lot regarding that outer product. So take simple example. If you just if you are having any confusion, don't worry. Go in R2. In R2, take a two-dimensional vector of 1, 2. Okay, first component is 1, second component is 2. Now after that, do outer product. That means you multiply the vector with its transpose. Transpose of 1, 2. What would be? That would be a row vector. And if you multiplying a column vector with row vector, then it is one kind of matrix multiplication. So if you are multiplying, so it one time one would be one, one time two would be two, two time one would be what two, and two time two would be 4. So you are getting a matrix whose entries happens to be first row is 1 2, second row is 2 1. You can easily observe that second row is what? It is a linear combination of first row. That means there is only one linearly independent row. So you can simply say that what is the rank of this one then? What, Prashant? What is the rank of this matrix? It is simply you can say that if you are calling it 1 2, it is a vector A, then A into A transpose we are trying to calculate it. So what is the rank of this matrix? You got a matrix, and name of that matrix you can say that it is A into A transpose. Now tell me what is the rank of this matrix? Just calculate it. And visually is very much clear from the example itself. Even you don't need to compute it directly, you can say that what is the rank. So what is the rank of this matrix? Prashant, just try to answer it. What is the rank? Because uh, you told that I don't understand that outer product, the rank of outer product. So tell me whether right now are you able to see what is the rank of that outer product of given vector? Just if you are listening, just try to respond it. Anyone? Would would you like to say that what is the rank of A to A transpose? Zero. No, no, no. It is what is rank? Rank is there are several definitions for rank of a matrix. So you can say that it is a number of linearly independent rows or number of linearly independent columns. Yes. No, it is one actually. You can observe in that matrix there is only one linearly independent row. That one is first row. Second row is just a multiple of first row. What is second row here? Second row, you can observe that second row is now first entry is 2, second entry is 4. So you can say that row 2 is what? Row 2 is just twice of row 1. So you can say that there is only one linearly independent row. So you can say that rank of this one is 1. The rank of this matrix is 1. And similarly, if you try to observe from column perspective, you can observe that this, if you call this first column, this one is first column, call it C1, and this one is second column, call it C2. Then you can easily observe that C2 is nothing but it is twice of C1. So from the column perspective also you can say that it is this matrix is having only one linearly independent column. So that number of linearly independent column that counts rank. So you can say that in any situation from row perspective or column perspective, this matrix due to order product is having one rank. Whether you go for third dimension vector or fourth dimension, it is always similar picture you will get. That means rank would be always one. Like I am going to take a three dimensional vector having entries 1 2 3, and I do here outer product of this vector with this transpose of itself. That means multiply this column vector with row vector. So it is what? It is A to A transpose. So if you try to multiply, then what would be matrix? Just do matrix multiplication here. It would be what? 3 by 3 matrix. So 1 time 1 is 1, 1 time 2 is 2, 1 time 3 is 3. Similarly, take a second row here. 2 time 1 is 2, 2 time 2 is 4, and 2 time 3 is 6. Take third element, it is 3, 3 time 1 is 3, 3 time 2 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. You can easily observe that again. If you consider this row approach, you can observe that row 2 and row 3 happens to be multiple of row 1. That means row 2 is twice of row 1, and row 3 is thrice of row 1. So you can say that there is only one linearly independent rows. If you go for column perspective, also you can say that call it C1, this one is C2, and this one is C3. Then C2 is just multiple twice of C1, and C3 is just thrice of C1. So you can say that there is only one linearly independent column. So from any perspective, whether it is row and column, it is always having only one linearly independent either row or column. Okay. So from there we can say that rank of this matrix is having 1. Rank of this matrix is 1. That is the criteria. So that's way if you are defining correlation matrix, it happens to be it is defined as a expectation in compact notation. It is defined as a expectation of this outer product of random vector. So it is actually a random vector, outer product of a random vector. It happens to be a random matrix because everything random here, and it is outer product. So rank of this random matrix would be 1. Okay, and just we are trying to find expectation of this one. If you just open it up, it will take the same matrix form. It will take the same matrix form, and from here we can say that what would be rank of this one. Now, if you are coming to discuss about here, uh, covariance matrix. Then covariance matrix we observe here. Also here mean deviated terms are coming here. This one we are calling it variance. These are covariance, and these are that off diagonal component happens to be covariance, and diagonal components are what happens to be variance in this covariance matrix. And if you further simplify it what kind of form it will take? It will take difference of two matrix. That means this correlation matrix minus outer product of mean vector, outer product of mean vector. So these are the relation between what we call it correlation matrix and covariance matrix. That means if you know covariance matrix, you can easily calculate correlation matrix, and if you know correlation matrix, you can from there you can derive covariance matrix. So both are related to each other. So generally in question I will just ask either a correlation matrix or covariance matrix. So both are related to each other. So if you know one thing, then you can easily calculate another one. Now, further what we see that if x1, x2, just a specific relation is that if x1, x2, xn, and that means a component of the random vector, if these are uncorrelated, what does it mean? So I had already mentioned that uncorrelated means the covariance between these two, any two pair, it would be what? It would be zero. Covariance is zero. That is meaning of uncorrelated random variables. Okay. Then in that, if this covariance is zero, then off diagonal element in the covariance matrix would be zero. So from there, what we observe that the covariance matrix is having entry only along the diagonal, so it behaves like a diagonal matrix. Covariance matrix is just a diagonal matrix. Further, we have already seen that if the component of a random vector happens to be independent, then it implies that the corresponding component happens to be uncorrelated, and due to that we can say that again the covariance matrix happens to be a diagonal matrix. Now one more relation, if you observe that anyhow if you come to know that the mean of every component of random vector happens to be zero, then what you will observe that, so you won't observe any deviation due to mean, because here mean is zero for each component. So due to that the form of covariance matrix and correlation matrix both would be similar and both would be equal. It would be here in the case when mean of each component happens to be zero, then in that case covariance matrix is equal to correlation matrix. These are the relation between correlation and covariance matrix, and these are the parameters. First I would like to take one example here, that will simplest example that we would start with. We are taking a Gaussian vector, because Gaussian vector we can easily proceed with that. Okay, and for this given Gaussian vector we will find mean vector and covariance matrix. I had already told that if you know mean vector and covariance matrix, you can always derive correlation matrix. So there is no issue, just we will calculate mean vector and covariance matrix. Okay, so the random vector, it is a three-dimensional Gaussian vector. It is having component x1, x2, x3, and with the joint Gaussian distribution is defined here like this way. This is the joint Gaussian distribution. You can easily see that. What we have to do here, we have to find mean vector of this Gaussian vector, three-dimensional Gaussian vector, and also the covariance matrix. Okay, so what we do, just to take benefit of this Gaussian vector, what we have to rewrite the joint PDF in a standard form in such a way from the PDF easily we can identify what would be mean and what would be covariance. So those things it would be easy to identify if you are writing in a perfect way. Okay, in a very suitable way. Just you have to do little bit algebra. After that, the form will the PDF joint PDF will take this form. This is the form of joint PDF. Okay, so here you can observe that x1 and x2 are coming together. X3 is out of this x1 and x2. That means you can observe that there might be some dependency between x1 and x2, and x3 is totally away from. It is independent of x1 and x2. Okay. So this example again I had already done once while finding several dimensions of marginal and conditional PDF. Okay. So here we see that x3 is a Gaussian random variable with mean. What you observe here, mean is 0, and what is the variance? Variance is 1. Okay, and that it independent of x1 and x2. Why? Because we are able to write in separate from x1 and x2. That's why we can, from the representation, rewrite it, reform representation, we can say that x3 is independent of x1 and x2, and x1 and x2 are actually there is a dependency, so they vary jointly, so they are having a joint Gaussian distribution. And then if it is having a joint Gaussian distribution, then what is the mean vector? So it is having 0. And what is the variance? It is a unit variance, that means it is a identity matrix, 2 by 2 identity matrix. Okay, and now from here also we can observe that just here through the algebra that we come across to see this reformulated representation like this way, in such a way. From here we can say that what is the correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient is talking about the relation of ratio of covariance divided by product of corresponding standard deviation. So here, from here you can derive that what is the covariance? It is negative of 1 by root 2. From the rewrite reform Gaussian distribution, we try to see everything here. We don't need to calculate here. Just that's why I have taken Gaussian factor. We don't need to calculate everything here. Just from the given joint PDF and after reformulation, we can get everything whatever we want to get it. So here we can observe that these are the correlation coefficient. And what is the mean vector? Mean vector is 0. Mean vector is a 3-dimensional 0 vector. And what is the covariance matrix? Here variance would be what? Variance of, it is a what, normal or Gaussian vector. So variance of this one is, from here you can derive that variance is 1, variance of x1 is 1, variance of x2 is 1, variance of x3 is also 1. Okay, so those variance will come along the diagonal entries. Okay, what are the covariance or correlation coefficient? So these are coming like this way, and we can say that these are taking variance is 1, and we know that a square root of variance we are calling it a standard deviation. So a standard deviation would be also 1. A square root of 1 is always 1. So from here you can derive that covariance of x1 and x2 is minus 1 by root 2, and covariance of x2 and x1, because x1 and x2 and x2 and x1 both are symmetric in nature. So always covariance matrix symmetric in nature, the same thing it will come here. And here from the representation of PDF we come to know that x3 is independent of x1 and x2. So if there is an independency between any two random vectors, random variable, then what is the correlation or covariance? That one is 0. So 0 is coming here. Similarly 0 will come here, 0 will come here, and in that process we got our covariance matrix. So this is the covariance matrix of this 3-dimensional Gaussian vector. Here only given information is that what this joint PDF. Okay. Now one more things, what we will do if we are having a random vector and we are applying some kind of linear transformation, do we see any change in the parameter of that transform random vector? Definitely we see, and that change it is coming due to that linear transformation. So how it is coming? So for that case I am taking a matrix A which bring a linear transformation over given random vector x, and after transforming this random vector x by this given matrix A, we are getting a transformed random vector z. Okay, and then what is happening? What is happening here? We have to find expectation or mean vector of z and also covariance vector. How you will find it? So we have to go component wise. So z is, if x is n-dimensional vector and we are multiplying a matrix with x in order to bring a linear transformation, and that matrix happens to be n by n matrix, then what is the dimension of z? It against n. Dimension of z would be n. So it will have n component. So component wise we will find mean of the transform vector z. So first general component zk we have taken. So in order to get zk, how we will get? You have to just, it is just one example of matrix multiplication. So here z is what, n-dimensional vector, First component is Z1, second component is Z2, third component is Z3, and nth component is Zn. Okay, and you got it through multiplication of the matrix A. You can say that first row is A, A11, A12. Likewise, it will go up to A1n. Okay, and other similarly you can write other rules. Okay, so and what is x? First component is x1, second component of x is x2. It will go up to nth component. Nth component is xn. So if you want to get z1, how you will get? You multiply first row with this x vector. So it is a one kind of dot product. Same thing I have taken it here. So if you want to take kth component, so what you do? Take kth row and multiply with given vector x. Okay, and this is the multiplication. And after that, what you do? Find the expectation of that. So it is what? It is a scalar number. So you are finding a expectation of a scalar number, and just it is very easy to find an expectation of a scalar number. And here in the process of finding expectation of a scalar number, it is very much compatible with the summation. So you can interchange this expectation with summation. So that's where here this expectation is going inside the summation, and it is coming like this way. Okay, so it is just for kth component. In the similar fashion, you can calculate for all the components. So actually, y it would be z transfer. So in that process, we got expectation of z. This is the expectation of z. Okay. Now we will talk about large sample theory. What is that? So large sample theory, it is one kind of relation is that so anything if you try, if just you are having data, you don't have exact information about the distribution. So from the data, easily you can estimate value of parameter. So you can't calculate value of parameter because you don't have distribution of the data from where that you don't know the source of distribution, but you are having data, so you can't calculate expectation. So, but what you do with the help of given data, you can estimate parameter of that distribution. So, if you keep on increasing that data size, that also we are calling it sample size, then in the long run it will converge to actual parameter. So that is the concept here. So consider we are having a sequence of random variables x1, x2, xn like this way. Then we are defining a new random variable as a sum of first and random variable. Okay, this that we denote it by Sn. So Sn is if xi happens to be random variable or sequence of random variable, then if you define sum of those random variable from first term, okay, including 1 to n. So from here we can say that Sn is again a random variable. Why? Because addition is again a function. It's a function of random variable. Happens to be again a random variable. Thus, we need to find. So we are having a new random variable Sn. So we have to find what is the mean and variance of Sn. Also, we have to find what is the PDF of Sn, if it is possible. So one simplest example I had given that if you are taking only two random variable x1 and x2, and if you are doing sum of that, then finding PDF of x, this sum of this one is equivalent to a convolution of the corresponding PDF. So convolution approach that I had already discussed. But here I am going more than one, more than two. So more, if you are going more than two, then convolution is not feasible to define. So for that perspective, we need to apply central limit theorem, and those things I will discuss. So here very, if you know expectation of individual component of the sequence of random variable, then easily you can calculate expectation by summing the expectation. Okay, sum of expectation, just sum it up, you will get expectation of Sn. But it is not valid when you are going to calculate variance. While calculating variance of just take only two random variables, xi and xj. If you are finding variance of this one, sum of xi and xj, then what will be variance? Variance will contains three terms here. One will be variance of xi, another will be variance of xj, and another term, third term would be covariance of xi and xj. So the third term is coming. So due to presence of this covariance, and suppose we know that xi and xj happens to be dependent, then this term definitely would be non-zero. So in that case, we will observe that simply we can't say the variance is not behaving like a linear operator. Expectation is behaving like a linear operator, but variance is not behaving like a linear operator. This one is the case for just a pair of random variable if you are summing it up. But if you are summing n random variable, then the variance of sum Sn, it is defined like this way. So first term, it is include summation of respective variance of the component, and second term it include covariance. Okay, so calculation of variance of sum of random variable, it is little bit difficult, uh, but if we just try to put a condition that xi happens to be independent, then it is very easy to calculate variance of uh, given set of random variable. Okay, and by summing it up. So first, I am going to calculate. I am putting a condition over that sequence of random variable is that that sequence of random variable happens to be IID, that is independent and identically distributed. So due to that, this condition, it helps to simplify that calculation of mean and variance calculation. So those things we will see it here. So it is coming like this way. So we consider a sequence of random variable x1, x2 up to xn, and it is a finite sequence with an independent and identically distributed component. That means each here, if you take any two component happens to be independent and identically distributed, that means each one is having the same distribution. They are having, so it simply say that you have taken n copies of the same distribution, but here you don't know that distribution of that copy. Only you are having information that sequence of random variable is having mean mu and variance sigma square, but you don't know what is the distribution of that. Only with you are having only two information. It is that these are having mean mu and variance sigma square. Okay, so how we can find expectation of sum? So expectation of sum, it is very easy to find. Just do apply here expectation of sum uh, over this sum. Then just it is, all these are little bit calculation. All these are coming from the definition. It won't take much time. So expectation of sum, if you suppose you put condition that here x and y both are discrete in nature, so you can define this expectation in the form of summation. Summation varies from okay, you can say that this one is z. So it is taking in convolutions. I would like to write it in convolution. So summation over x uh, or be x plus y, or simply you can write it like this: z time z equal to x plus y, z time the density of probability mass function of z. So it is directly coming from the definition. Okay, so what is z here? Z is talking about z is actually x plus y. Z is x plus y, and what you will do here, this one is talking about probability mass function of z. So you can write this one in the form of conversion. So it is very simple that later you will come to know that this expectation is, after simplification, it will take the form of sum of expectation of x and expectation of y. So it is very easy to calculate expectation of sum, and you know that each copy is having same expectation. That's where expectation of Sn. This one is Sn. Expectation of Sn would be what? It is n time v. B is expectation of individual xi. Okay, and similarly, what is the variance? So in order to calculate variance, and we have taken condition that independent and identically distributed. So due to that independent nature, covariance of x1 and xi and xj, it would be 0. So second term would be 0. Only we are having summation of variance, and each one is having the same variance. So that means what is the variance of xk? Variance of xk is sigma square, and you are summing it n times, so it would be n times sigma square. So this is the variance of Sn. So this is the process to calculate the expectation and variance of a IID random variable. Okay. So now one more thing I would like to highlight here. So we are taking a sequence. So this one was the finite sequence. Okay. Now if we are going to discuss about infinite sequence, then there would be another term that we are talking about to number of terms, how much you are taking. So in that process, suppose you can put randomness in number of terms as well. So that distribution of number uh, at a time, what how many numbers you are taking, that we denote it by a random variable capital N. It takes so then this capital N, it will always take non-negative integer. Okay, so here we are defining one sum Sn, that is sum of first n random variable, and here n is again a random integer. It is a random integer. There is a randomness. Okay, so how we can find expectation of Sn? So it would be completely dependent on uh, expectation of n as well. It would not independent. So we haven't given any. If n is fixed, then it would be independent. But here n is not fixed. N is random in nature. It may be as one time you can take two uh, random variable. Other time you also you can take 3, 4, 5. So you are free. You can it is that number of terms happens to be random in nature. It is not fixed. So it can be anything. Okay. So it is random. There is a distribution from that you will take n. Okay. So distribution, if you are going to find expectation of Sn, definitely it would be depend. It would depends upon expectation of n as well. Okay. So what we do, we are applying here in order to calculate expectation of Sn. We have to apply law of expectation. What does it say? So conditional expectation we had already discussed. So conditional expectation, if you are finding conditional expectation of a random variable, that means you are having two random variable x and y, and you introduce conditioning over x by y, then you will get a conditional expectation. Okay, so conditional expectation, this conditional expectation is again it is a random variable, and it would be a function of y, because you introduce conditioning over x by y. So that's why it is a again a random variable, and it will be a function of y. Now further, if it is a function a random variable, then you are able to find expectation of this one. So further you are going to find expectation of this conditional expectation. So if you are finding expectation of conditional expectation, then from expected rule what it will take. So expectation, in order to find expectation of this conditional expectation, so suppose for the simplicity, consider it is continuous in nature. So it would be g of y into expectation of, okay, g of y into what, here it will become density of y. Density of y will come, and just do little bit manipulation, and you will come to know that finally it is what, it is nothing. It is talking about y will be exhausted. It remaining thing would be what, it is, it would be expectation of. So this result we are calling it law of expectation, or you can say that iterated expectation, you can say that. So you can say that expectation of conditional expectation of x given y is actually equal to expectation of x. So using this property we can find expectation of Sn. Expectation of Sn is what, it is mu time expectation of n. N is what, it is talking about number of uh, random variable at a time, how much random variable you are taking, that means that count it is talking about, and that count is random in nature, it is not fixed. Okay, So in order to calculate expectation of Sn, so here expectation of n will come here. If n is fixed, then there is no issue. If for a fixed number, expectation would be the same number itself. There would be no issue. Okay, but if you are going to put some randomness over that count, and definitely expectation will come here. Okay, so again we will try to find variance of Sn. So here there would be issue with the variance. So in order to calculate variance of Sn, we have to apply law of variance or iterative variance. What does it say? So again we can see relation that variance of x, it can be written as expectation of variance of uh, conditional variance of x given y, and variance of expectation of conditional variance sorry here variance of expectation of conditional random variable x given y. So all these derivation are very simple. If you are willing to see derivation, then I can go for this derivation. What you have to do, so here put it variance and recall the definition of variance. What does it say? It is talking about expectation of uh, a square of mean deviation, right? Okay. Mean deviated random variable, expectation of a square of mean deviated random variable, that means expectation of x minus expectation of x all square. Just simplify it like this way. So I would like to take a space. It will take a space come to explain it here. It would take this form. So what you do further, here you put a new term, do addition and subtraction, bring conditional expectation of x given y. So new thing is coming. So you have to in order to compensate this one, you have to add here expectation of x given y, and given thing is what, last term is here. We are having expectation of x. So all these are just algebraic calculations. It won't affect much. If you like algebraic calculation, you can do a lot of practice, and through that everything would be visible here. So further go and calculate it here like this way. So it is now how many terms we are having now here? 4 terms. So these two bring together and these two bring together. Okay. So here we will have expectation of x minus expectation of x given y. Okay, all square. Whole square will come here, plus expectation of this term will come, this two cluster, expectation of x given y. Otherwise I will send the derivation in separate. This derivation is little lengthy, but very clear. It is having a clear algebraic calculation. Plus twice of, like twice of covariance term will come. Expectation, that means covariance means expectation of, I am calling it this one A, so it is very long notation, and you can call it, so everything is random variable capital A, and call this term capital B. So covariance term, twice of covariance of A into B will come in short. So do little bit with calculation, you will come to know that this relation is coming like this way. So this is, we are calling it law of variance. Law of variance. Just apply law of variance. Through that you can calculate variance of Sn. So it would be variance of Sn is what? Sigma square expectation of n plus mu square variance of n. So remember that n is here, it is number of random variable, how much random variable you are taking, and that actually random in nature. Do we have any time? It is already 45 minutes is already over. So other things we will cover in next class. And if you are having any question, you can ask. Otherwise, today I am going to wind up this class. And put your for attendance purpose, put your roll number here in the comment box. Okay.